always, it's now time for Mornings with me, Connie McLaughlin. It's Tuesday the 7th of April. How are you doing? We're going to continue that theme of Artemis 2 because astronauts on that ship are now bound for Earth after conducting a historic lunar flyby and witnessing a total solar eclipse from their spacecraft. Right, they had a planned comms blackout for 40 minutes. This is the moment they reconnected.
Houston, Integrity, comm check.
Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Houston, we have you the same, and it is so great to hear from Earth again.
What a moment. What relief for the crew and for everyone else on the ground. Commander Reid Wiseman, who's on the Orion spacecraft, says they saw sights no human has ever seen, while pilot Victor Glover says there are no adjectives to describe what they witnessed. They directly observed parts of the moon's far side, never seen before, documenting craters and lava plains with photos, videos, sketches and audio logs. So tell me this morning, have you been inspired by the mission? Have you spoken to your kids about it? What is it about that for you that just captures the interest? Maybe you've never been interested in space before. You're not interested in it now. I want to hear all your views. 08085 92 95 00, or you can text me this morning on 80295. Then later, multiple politicians have weighed in on the Kanye West situation.
He should not be allowed to come to our country to perform in the light of the anti-Semitic comments that he has made and recorded.
Yeah, the government is reviewing whether the US rapper should be allowed into the UK to headline the Wireless Festival. His booking prompted criticism over his prior anti-Semitic comments. He ran an ad in the Wall Street Journal, I don't know if you've seen this, apologising for anti-Semitic and racist statements that he made in the past, while also discussing his struggle with bipolar disorder. So, does his condition excuse his behaviour? Should he be allowed to enter the UK? You can let me know. Plus,
this is the neighbourhood's top predator, Mr. Fluffy.
David Attenborough's questioning whether we should keep our cats inside or out, and Radio 4's spookiest show returns.
Hello, Uncanny is back. This is the first episode of Uncanny Cold Cases, a brand new Uncanny series, digging into some of the most scary, the most famous, the most shocking cases in paranormal history.
With the success of the BBC podcast Uncanny, the host Danny Robbins says it's bigger than the news. But why does it seem so many of us are interested in the paranormal? Have you had your own experiences? 80295.
Greatness plus greatness equals greatness.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Many of you might say it's about escapism, the idea of something else that's bigger than us. We'll get into that a little bit later. If you love the paranormal, or if you can't be bothered with it, you can let me know. 08085 92 95 00. And there's something about escapism that I think maybe is, I don't know, is it directly related to why so many of us seem to love space? In the last 24 hours, humans have been further from Earth than we've ever been. 4 astronauts looping around the far side of the moon for the first time in certainly half a century. It's been called a new era of space exploration, a stepping stone to moon bases and even Mars, perhaps. This is what some of the astronauts reported, right, as comms to mission control returned.
I think one of the most interesting things right now is the 4 of us have looked at this moon our entire lives, and the way we are responding to what we are seeing out the window is, it's just like we're a bunch of little kids up here. We cannot get enough of this. It's amazing. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you for sharing that special perspective you have with all of us back here.
Does it inspire us to think big? To think dreams are possible, that anything is possible when we do something like this? Or on the flip side, as the world faces wars, climate pressure, rising costs here on Earth, we talk about it day in, day out on this programme, should we really be spending billions going back to the moon? Is this inspiration, science, progress, or a vanity project maybe perhaps for some countries? Does it matter to you? This morning, I'm asking you, does this space mission inspire you? 08085 92 95 00. You can let me know your thoughts on that, or you can text me this morning as well if you fancy on 80295. Right, let's get straight to it. Hina Khan is a former NASA researcher and head of commercial at satellite company Craft Prospect. Hina, morning.
Good morning.
How has it been for you watching with your feet firmly on the ground here on Earth?
Absolutely feet firmly on the ground, but my God, it's been astounding. I've been watching it since the beginning. Seeing all the things that are happening, and each new milestone is another step closer. And as your little snippet played there, what they went round the kind of far side of the moon when they were out of communications. They may have been out of communications from the Earth, but they were still conducting their experiments and doing all the things that they needed to do to collect the data for the scientists back home on Earth.
Hina, tell me as a layperson why this in particular is such a big deal. What is actually happening here?
So it's the first time that, as you've heard on the news stories day in, day out, it's the first time that people have gone back to the moon in over 50 years. Why is that significant? We've sent landers, we've sent probes, we've had radio signals back from the moon. But to have people go back to the moon to look and see with our own eyes, take images, both for posterity and for general public to see our beautiful planet looking back from the moon, but also of areas of the moon that are of interest for us to think about. And this is all about, where Apollo was about exploration and, a space race to get to the moon first between America and Russia at the time. This is very much about understanding, how we would use the moon in a sustained way. So either as a landing place for us to use as an outpost to get to other places like Mars and other deep space environments, but also to understand our closest neighbour in a way which helps us understand our own planet a little bit more as well. And I think there's that sort of side of it as well, where there's a lot of experiments going on, some of which are related back down to here on Earth and in Scotland. In fact, the medical research that's going on the human physiology, there's research happening in our hospitals in Scotland, which is directly connected to the work that's been going on at NASA. And similarly, in the way that the communication relays are working, we're working on similar technologies here. And that then creates a relationship between people, jobs, economic growth, and how that then connects to what seems much bigger, the space programme from NASA.
Yeah. Stay there, Hina, if you can for a second. Dennis is in Aberdeen this morning. Morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Connie.
Well, I'm asking this morning if it's inspiring you, but I've got a sneaky suspicion it might not be inspiring you.
No, I think it's just completely over the top. I found there was nothing new in it. It was pretty boring, and why it got this mass world coverage day and night in all the media formulas, I think it was completely over the top.
But people have never done it before. That's why people are getting excited about it.
Well, it had all been done before. They sent men to the moon and landed, but they didn't even land this time. They just went on the back of the moon and came back again. It was much ado about nothing.
Hina, Dennis is putting a point across that I'm sure some people listening to this right now will echo and thinking, why right now, today, Tuesday the 7th of April, as someone living in Scotland right now, why should I care?
Yeah, and I think these are all valid points. I mean, you can talk about this in ways that, the relationship between what we're doing and research in general and scientific study and exploration. I mean, you can argue the case for lots of different things that get money spent, a lot of money gets spent on for the value of it. But I think it's about connecting it back to the people. We're living in an economic environment here in Scotland where we want to inspire our young people and inspiring people in terms of this is not an unachievable goal if this is a path that you choose to work to study. I'm from Glasgow, not that far away from where you are at the moment, and I had the opportunity to go and work at NASA at points in my career. But for the last 15 years, I've actually been working right here in Glasgow in a space company, Craft Prospect, and working on technology which will help us secure communication relays from around the globe as well as near Earth environment. counter things like cybersecurity and AI manipulation of data so that we have more confidence in our day-to-day lives. So yes, this is aspirational and there's exploration and it seems very far-fetched, but the things that they are doing and the technology that they've developed and the research that they are conducting is inspiring in a way that helps people relate. And as long as we bring it back to what it is that we're doing here in Scotland, in the UK, on the ground, then I think we need to be that link needs to be really clear. And that's, I think, sometimes it gets lost in the excitement of it, that, this is something that NASA is doing, and they've spent billions, which they absolutely have. But then bearing in mind, there was technology on the lander that went to the moon a few years ago, which was built here in Glasgow. And so that was jobs and that was people's lives. And like I say, the company that I work for now is also building technology which ultimately could go to the moon. When we talk about lunar gateways and the relay system, they went around the far side of the moon and the communication was blocked out. If you had satellites in orbit of the moon, then you would have continuous coverage of communication.
Dennis, does that lay it out for you in a way, thinking, well, it's technology?
No, it's just more hogwash. It really is completely. I mean, people in Scotland are much more worried about putting food on the table, paying the electricity bills. We're on the brink of World War III, and we're not interested in 4 guys going off, 3 guys and a girl going off in a giant squib round the moon and back. I mean, it's just complete nonsense.
Ian on Facebook says, I can't see how a US vanity project can be inspiring due to the present conflicts ongoing around the world right now, sort of echoing what Dennis is saying. I'd be more inspired if we spent billions getting our act together on this planet, particularly socially, politically and environmentally, says Jan. V's been on to say, boots on the moon, boots on the ground, go for it world, destruction all round. John in Glasgow says, I love the Artemis 2 mission as it increases man's technological knowledge, but despair at those who poo-poo it, citing all the woes of the world. If we have to sort out Earth's problems before exploration, then nothing actually would ever get done. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Dennis, says John.
I say the same again. A giant squib with 4 people on it around the moon and back is nothing to write about when we've got more concerns in Scotland.
That was Dennis's view in Aberdeen. What say you? 08085 92 95 00, or you can text on 80295. Thank you for that, Dennis. Here's the thing, you were talking there. I'm going to speak to Leonie Briggs in just a second. The idea of Scotland's role in this, what might that look like? I mean, some of us will have seen the news stories before about some of the areas in Shetland being sort of launch pads. I mean, does that feel that's particularly far away, or is it something that Scotland and us as a nation can get excited about if we're so inclined?
I think we should get excited about it, and it's everybody has their own opinion, and Dennis obviously has his, and that's absolutely valid. But I think we should get excited about it because we are you talk about putting food on the table. Well, people need jobs to do that. This is an industry where people can get very high paid jobs right here in Glasgow and in Scotland, and they don't have to go to the other side of the planet to progress a career in the space sector. As you said, there are satellites which will be launched from Shetland within the next year or so. I mean, the launch pad is prepared. They have rockets which are can be deployed on that launch pad. There are satellites being built here in Glasgow. The data is being collected. The research is being done. But it is also, you talk about space and it being, an engineering pursuit, and only for the very highly qualified or people with, degrees in science, technology, and maths, which absolutely is the case. But there's also another side of that. We are in a business environment, a commercial space environment where businesses are working. It's not just the realms of research and universities and academic institutions. And so businesses need to function in all shapes and forms. We do need, all the bits that perhaps are not so exciting within a business environment. Yeah. And those are absolutely valid. So you could be, a legal person, or you could be a project manager or a business analyst, but working within a space sector, within a space company. And like I say, we have that here in Scotland. We have a thriving space industry, around 8,500 jobs. A significant portion of the UK's GDP comes from Scotland's space sector. We are building satellites, analysing technology, and cutting edge technology is that. We're not just adding a little bit of extra into what is this lunar mission. We're actually right at the front of it, right at the front of that technology, and are partnering with NASA and European Space Agency to help build these things. So it's not detached by any means, and it should be inspiring.
Just before I let you go, because I know you need to head off, but I was laughing actually the last couple of days because my son, who's 3, is getting quite into rockets right now. It's a bit of his thing, and he wants to build them. He wants to pretend he's on one, and there's a thing about that aspect of play and inspiration that we're talking about for younger kids, and how do you have those conversations with them about it? For you, what was the thing that inspired you to want to get into this in the first week, to become a NASA researcher? Were you a sort of 9-10-year-old thinking, this is what I want to do, I want to go to space?
Well, I think it was actually, perhaps not so much go to space, but very much excited about what we understand from space and what it looks like outside of our own planet, and how there are so many different areas of study. And it was very kind of awe-inspiring for me. And my pathway was quite traditional in terms of academic research. But like I say, for the last 15 years, I've actually been able to put that into practice on the ground, and working with companies to help build their technology, help commercialize it, in other words, get revenue, make money from it, which is ultimately what a business wants to do, and that helps our country and economic value and things like that. So being able to translate how the science, how the technology actually helps us in a day-to-day life. We all use our mobile phones, you hear about it all the time, we interact with dozens of satellites every day just to make it from our front door to our place of work or where we want to get to. None of that would be possible if we didn't strive to look beyond just our little zone. And you're absolutely right. There are huge problems in the world today. I'm absolutely not diminishing that. And we have to take care of ourselves here and the things around us. But we can't lose sight of also what is beyond, because ultimately we are a population and people who are thriving and want to explore and want to find out more than what is just here. What is over the hill, what is round the corner, and that kind of aspect of our mentality is really important.
Yeah, and I guess where that leads us. Listen, Hina, thank you for your time this morning. Hina Khan, good to speak to you.
Thanks so much.
Former NASA researcher and head of commercial at a satellite company, Craft Prospect. Nikki's in Edinburgh this morning. Morning, Nikki.
Good morning.
Tell me this. We've had lots of texts in this morning, sort of a real mixture actually of people saying, yes, we need to look round the corner. We need to think about longer term, what can take us forwards in our quest for survival in this country. But many other people saying, well, if we don't stop what we're up to, we're not going to survive in the first place. What say you, Nikki?
Well, absolutely, we're not going to survive. If the United States and Israel carry on the way they're carrying on, there will be no planet to even escape from. I mean, it's all very well sending a rocket around the moon. It's very good technologically, but it's not really about exploring space. It's about American dominance in space. I mean, the media spent so much time talking this week about one American pilot who, or certainly someone who was on that aircraft that got shot down. One pilot, yet the Americans have been bombing the heck out of Iran, and the Israelis have been, for the last 4 weeks now. And they've killed thousands of people, and yet all the media is worried about one person. So sending this rocket around the moon is all very, very well and good, but really we should be stopping this war, stopping this megalomaniac in the United States from ruining the rest of the world, basically holding the rest of the world to ransom.
Nikki,
we need to sort the planets out here first.
Can both be focused on at the same time? So can that be ongoing, but we can also turn it?
No, I don't think they can. I think it's a massive distraction. It's just like the Epstein files. I mean, the most common opinion around the world is that he's invaded Iran to avoid being questioned about the Epstein files. It's just another massive distraction from his absolute lunacy. I mean, I don't think you can. And again, going to the moon is just another distraction from the terrible things that he's doing. I just don't think you can. I think they should be concentrating on sorting this world out.
And this is
spending all this money, billions and billions of dollars, going around the moon. Actually, but it's to develop military technologies. It's nothing to do with saving the human race and taking minerals. Well, there's probably to do with taking minerals from the moon as well. He's probably got that in mind.
Nikki, listen, it's great to have your point of view on the radio. This is what this is about this morning. We want to hear all points of view, and you're perfectly entitled to have yours, Nikki, in Edinburgh. So it was really interesting what Nikki was saying there about the distraction from all the other things that are happening in the world right now, and that's been reflected quite heavily, to be fair, in the people that are texting in this morning. So 80295 if you want to have your say, if you want to come on the radio like Nikki did, 08085 92 95 00, and have your say about this as well. Leonie Briggs is director at Amaze Labs and STEM Education. She's a specialist in that. Morning, Leonie.
Good morning, nice to see you.
We're talking about inspiration around this story and what it could mean for us, sort of shared humanity. But actually, some of the conversations and what we're hearing from our listeners this morning isn't really that. Is this kind of failing to cut through, or actually, as I said earlier on, can both of these things be true at the same time? You know, there can be concerns about everything that's happening in the world, but also there's this other thing that's happening.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it is an incredibly inspiring story. You know, I am looking to inspire young people in STEM subjects, especially as a woman working in STEM. We have still got such a long way to go. It's absolutely inspiring to see so many, female team members on there, and, even people recently, wanting to watch films about space. The interest has completely peaked over the last week, and to me that is absolutely fantastic. The more people that we can get into science and STEM subjects, that's what my role is at Amaze Lab. We try to use fun and creativity to break down barriers to STEM subjects, letting people know that these subjects are for everybody. There's absolute genius out there. I'm so lucky to work with thousands upon thousands